Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Polaris. Game 1 done as H2O take the series 2-0 over Alliance. And now we focus our attention towards game number 2. XL taking on H2O. My name's Naokai. Joined by Nara Mizuki as per usual. And of course, we can start to talk about the specifics. Let's focus on XL to kickstart things for a side who have impressed us not only this season, but also last as well. And have been one of those big names, those staple sides who have been the top contenders.
Yeah, I think that XL were a little bit of a question mark coming into the season. They were one of those teams that had made a couple of roster changes, along with almost every other team in the league, just about.
Yeah.
And they came up against Finest last week, or not, was it last week? Recently, yeah, about a week or so ago. And a lot of us thought that Finest were going to come out on top of that. Finest were looking, not Finest, it was Hookahs. And a lot of us were like, oh, well, Hookahs are looking incredibly good right now. And, is it going to be a continuation of this strong streak? And XL have been looking really damn good. They've been winning out on, well, almost every single one of their games. The only team that they have lost to has been Finest, who, of course, were one of our teams for that top spot contention. And that basically erased all of our question marks around this XL roster. The additions of Alive and Foxy have definitely made a difference to this team. They're looking a lot better. And that's saying something. To say that they're looking better than they did last season, when they were looking incredible last season to begin with. I'm really impressed with the growth that we've seen already out of this roster. And of course, today's matchup is all about, well, can they affirm that top spot? Can they get the 4-1, pivot themselves slightly higher than, the other three teams who are also 3-1, and confirm themselves the top spot in the top position?
That's it. And of course, you highlighted two players from the side. It's Pasek and Chihuahua that you want to sort of take a look at as to two of the notable names for XL, and for damn good reason as well. I mean, they're both very, very talented, but why individually these two, Sam?
So, Patatek and Chihuahua, normally we do a head-to-head of players from each team.
Yeah.
But I wanted to highlight these two because they have been two of the best players on the team, two of the best duos on the team.
Yes.
And it's not just this season. If you look at their statistics for both Season 1 and Season 2, they're up there on both, and combined they have been exceptional standouts. And look at their most played agents. There is no duelist there.
Yeah, exactly.
These are those real enabler type agents. You've got Chihuahua that plays that hard anchor, and he loves that cipher. It's very seldom that you're going to see him move off of it. Patatek plays the initiator, creates space for the team, gives them the opportunities that they need to push in. Very similar to what we saw in the previous matchup where I had compared Nilla with Remoy. It's a similar thing here. You've got these two players that don't play the duelist, but look at their ACSs. Look at how they're able to juggle surviving with getting kills, making sure that their economy is always good. And that's how you work out that ACS. Look at their damage per round, 150. That's almost one kill per round. That's what it more or less equates to. Their KDAs are also nothing to snub at. But First Bloods, Patatek, a 13% first blood for an initiator is absolutely unreal. His job is to set up the duelist, and he's playing this initiator like, yeah, I'm going to throw out a flash, and you can bet I'm going to swing on it. and he very often, as we can see with such a high percentage, gets those opening kills. So these are two players who do so much to enable the team. It's very seldom that you're going to see me highlight a duelist, because 9 times out of 10, you're expecting a duelist to do well. Yeah. I'm looking at these more supportive players who can do both, who can create the opportunities needed, but can also frag out and clutch when necessary.
Yeah, exactly. Let's take a look at their opponents, though. H2O, they have got a mammoth task ahead of them. They picked up a win against Alliance. It was looking very good for them, but of course, now they've got to face off against one of the titans of Split 2, that of XL, and well, yes, they 2-0'd Alliance. This will require something special to take down these beasts.
Yeah, this is going to be really, really tough for this team. Yes, okay, they did manage to get their first win in the history of Polaris, which was really exciting. And, you and I got to interview Jaff a little bit and get his thoughts on that. And you could see, I mean, he was so happy, a little choked up, really proud of the team and how they performed. But you go from the team at the bottom of the bracket into the team who is now at the top of the bracket. There is so much of a gap to bridge here for this H2O squad, and honestly, I think that this is going to be incredibly difficult.
No, agree. And of course, you highlighted 2 more players as well from this side. This time it was Alex and Yaf that you wanted to highlight from H2O. And why specifically, Sam?
So these 2 players, again, they play a slightly more supportive role. And I think that what I found really interesting about these 2 players is, of course, Alex is newer blood on the team. He's one of the newer players. As we noted previously, you know, H2O went through an almost entire rebuild, holding on to like 2 players from previously. And Jaff is one of those players that's held on. Now, if you look at this ACS from Jaff, that's obviously lifetime. That's every tournament he's ever played in. And it's not amazing. But if you take a look again at, you know, both of the Polaris splits, he's up there. He's actually done reasonably well. Sorry, not for both, but if you look at split 2. And this shows like a huge improvement. So I'm just going to double check that one. I believe it was up there like in the 200s as well, 220, somewhere there. Just double check that one. 200, right? Okay. So it's a huge improvement from what we've seen previously from him. He's really stepped up his game a lot. And I've really enjoyed watching that happen. So these are 2 strong players, but they're also a bit of a juxtaposition in the newer and the older. The newer blood, the older blood, and both, again, playing a slightly more supportive role. Jeff kind of leaning into more of that controller. We don't see a lot of controllers getting hyped up here. And, of course, the Sentinel play from Alex. So, again, looking forward to seeing how they're going to compete up against the Chihuahua Patatek duo. And I think that, if I'm going to be perfectly honest, I'm not sure that they square up. You know, statistically, they're relatively high up there. But you look at things like their first bloods and how much damage they're doing per round, and it's not quite on the same par. So I said that this was going to be a difficult one for H2O, and just a slight kind of comparison, just to highlight why that's going to be so difficult. The players on XL, well, they do excel. They do incredibly well. And for H2O's players to try and bridge that gap, it's going to be a tough ask. As much as they've improved, as much as they've brought in some phenomenal players, I'm not sure it's going to be enough.
Yeah, of course. And now we do have a quick interview as well with Yaf. As we mentioned, he picked up his first victory in the entirety of Polaris. So let's check this one out.
My name is Brandon, my IGN is Jaff, and I play for H2O. To get my first ever win in Polaris, it felt pretty good. It felt pretty good for the team. I've specifically been chasing the win for a whole season, but for the team as well, it felt good to see that maybe some of the stuff we were practicing came into the game, and yeah, it felt really good overall. Obviously, I think everyone knows Alliance, like building a project, they haven't really been practicing a lot with a specific fire. I think this actual call has been 2 weeks, so we were pretty confident going in that we had more practice and we thought we were just the better team. For us, the first map, it went okay. I think our pistols were a bit shaky in general. And then I think there was a lot of rounds where like we were just making key mistakes. And although like the score was 13-9, I definitely think we should have won by a lot more. And I think that actually was reflected in the second game, where I feel like we made less mistakes and we just closed out how we should have. On Bind, I can think of like 2 very specific rounds. I can think of the pistol where I flank and like for some reason they weren't holding me and I killed 2 of them. And then there was a round where Hattie's going to spawn and they're like holding him, and then they both turn around and like there's like the most insane timing in the entirety of Valorant, and we win the round from it. Yeah, the coming fixtures are definitely a bit more difficult, but I think the first win is kind of always the hardest, especially with like the whole story behind it. And I think I'm not gonna say we're gonna beat XL in some amazing fashion, but I'd say it's definitely not off the table. It's something that we believe we can do. Like they have a lot of tape on them. Like we're sure we can pull something out. I think we can make playoffs. There's been crazy storylines. I'm sure us winning 2 out of the next 3 games isn't one of the craziest things that could ever happen. I definitely feel like we as H2O, we are not as bad as some people think we are, and I think definitely in the coming weeks we should be performing a lot better, and we've definitely been putting stuff in place.
Nice to see. Off the back of a victory, there's a bit of time for them to speak about everything that's going well. And with all H2O, but of course now they're met with a mammoth task. And so we can start to focus our attention towards the veto. We can get a sort of understanding of where this one's going to go to a degree. Any predictions coming in?
See, this is going to be an interesting one. One of the things that had been a concern for this H2O squad has been that Neon pick.
Yeah.
And it hasn't really gone the way that they would have wanted.
Agreed.
You know, Jaff, who normally plays the controller, has been the one playing the Neon, and it hasn't been netting the right results. So I would hope that we would lean away from the maps where we have seen the Neon come out most often, which has been kind of the Haven, Fracture, I'm forgetting one, Ascent. So I'm hoping that we kind of move away from those. You know, Icebox has been a map where they've got the most or the best results in the last few months, and no Neon on that one. It is one where they tend to play Omen, though, which is a bit of an interesting thing. So I'd be interested to see if we have the Icebox coming out. On the other hand, however, XL have been looking incredibly good recently on Split and Fracture. Okay, Fracture, they've played it once and they've won it once, so that kind of skews things a little bit. But Split, they've played it 7 times. They've won it 7 times over the course of the last 3 months. So they look really good on that one. Definitely expecting that one to come through. They're probably going to try to shy away from Bind, and I think that H2O will probably shy away from that one as well. So highly unlikely that we actually see that one come through. And the Split pick's going to be interesting because it's also not a great one for H2O. So I'm curious to see if they actually do float that.
Yeah, well, enough of speculation. Let's take a look at what we're actually getting for this veto. Interesting to see where it goes as well. For H2O, they've got a very tough decision to make here to try and limit as much as they can XL. We're going to start things off with Bind, selected by H2O, following things that will be Split, the pick of XL. And if we get there, Decider will be Fracture.
Well, that's, I mean, if we get there, right? So I'm going to be perfectly honest, cards on the table. I don't think we're going to see Neon because I don't think we go to map 3. I was really thinking that we would get it in the previous series, but in this one, it's really a David versus Goliath story, and I think that this time around, Goliath is going to come out on top. I'm really interested to see that Bind has made it through and Split because statistically, they're on the lower end for H2O. And on the other hand, okay, Bind has been pretty awful for XL. They haven't won a single one in the last 3 months. But as I said, Split has been their playground. And it's very interesting that H2O didn't ban that one out. But I think that given their history, H2O realized they don't have too much to play into here. They know they're coming up against a strong team, and you got to pick, well, do we ban the map that we suck at, or do we ban the map that they excel at? Really difficult to walk that line. We can see where they've decided to lean into. And now, okay, we got agent select for map 1, and I love how much raise we're seeing. Like, so I know that the Jet had this like slight nerf to her dash. It's not as insane as people have made it out to be. That was proven in our previous series. But there's been more and more leaning into the Raze pick. And I do think it's quite cool, though, to have a little bit more of that playtime coming out. And, of course, the big interesting difference here is the Omen versus the Sky. Which, or rather, Omen versus the Brimstone, and then Sky versus Chamber. Like, the two compositions here are actually so different in terms of what they're trying to accomplish. You know, H2O, they've gone for something that's very defensive heavy, but I think can work incredibly well. And I don't know. I think this is going to be interesting to say the least. I'm not sure about the Omen pick. I think it can be very strong, but I think you're giving up so much utility in not bringing the Brimstone. I don't know. We'll see how that works out for them.
Well, we'll have to wait and see. Let's get kickstart things into round number 1. XL starting on the defender side. H2O starting on the attacking side. As we said, this is a David versus Goliath scenario. H2O, I mean, Yaff Percy seems quite confident that they might be able to pick up 2 out of 3 victories in the last games. Not too sure I agree, but we'll have to wait and see if he can prove me wrong. Getting in towards this one. XL, I mean, you really got to think that on paper they are the favourites. It's more about now can they prove it. We've seen it once before with Heat previously. I was going to see where XL can replicate. So start. Not too much of an aggressive stance being played there by H2O. They're kind of just looking for an early little bit of pressure, early little bit of an entry. Not going to find too much for the time being. I think Canister might come through momentarily. He's put out one. Guarding light as well, being tempted. Tap to come through. It's Riyad's kickstart things. Pasek overextends and pays the price for it. Swinging forward, they're looking to find one more. Fake Ananas, good one of his own as well. Chihuahua drop. In a matter of seconds, H2O are now into a 5 versus 3 situation. And they've got all the room to work with.
Nice little opening here for H2O, and I think it's one that they're going to be very happy with. Because, of course, the snowball potential from the pistol rounds can create a huge difference for momentum building. They've kind of stalled out a little bit here. Clock running down. Going to need to make a commitment soon.
They need to, because the Trailblades as well looking for something. Not going to spell too much information. Corner's clear, but they haven't cleared the range in towards that U-Haul. Only one for Mo. He's shredded out by Jeff, and that leaves it all down to one man alive with a headhunter in hand in a 1 versus 4 to deny H2O finding their first round and the pistol on Bind. This is a very dire position for them to be in alive. Walking straight to trouble. Couple of missed shots. Jeff will punish. Second kill to his name, and H2O with 4 remaining alive. Find a pistol on the board in the first round. That's a brilliant start.
Exactly what H2O needed. A little bit of a, I suppose, a momentum buff, a little bit of a pat on the shoulder. And once you get that first round, it definitely goes into the mental, and you start to believe that you can make something happen for yourself. So they're going to be forcing up here, as is their right. But what is interesting is that they're actually buying into 2 Bulldogs, and it's very, very seldom that we see that much of a economic commitment on the second round. I mean, we did see the 2 rifles come out on the first map in the previous series. It worked out quite well, but this is like a weird middle ground. And again, it could have dire repercussions.
Swing way forward. Goes quite aggressive. Okay. Mo, a 1-for-1 there with Riyad. Mo fighting yet one more. Hang on a second, Mo. Sheriff causing a couple of problems. Back to a 2 versus 2. Yes, it's just pistols, but they are becoming problematic. As the classic now, buying some time for the rotation to come through. I mean, for the likes of Jaff and Fake Ananas, how do they want to play this gun? Like coming over, Headhunter, full blind, all down to the classic free gun, by the way, as the right click causing a couple of issues, but Foxy can't make it a second by the skin of their teeth. H2O put a second round on the board, but that was made expensive.
Yeah, I mean, this was a big thing that we had said in the previous matchup where both teams were kind of struggling to keep things expensive, and it's really important that you can maintain that. And here we see the kind of fruition of that. So there is a... Oh, I mean, this is really interesting. H2O are actually doubling down. They're investing into this despite the fact that they lost so many players. Very often, teams will just kind of go with pistols because they know that if they lose this round, their economy is completely busted. We're gonna have to make something really, really miraculous happen here. XL definitely in a much better position, and H2O with the really risky force. I'm curious to see how this is gonna pan out.
In comes the guarding light. Alex still trying to close down a bit of that space over too long. Spam coming through, not going to find too much from Chihuahua. He's anchoring over towards backside. Not too much to be found at the moment in towards back B. Now, Alex does need to be slightly cautious as, a little bit of no man's land there, but that tempo so right back down once again. For Riyad back over towards Uka. He's getting a bit of a control there. Just under a minute left to work with. The guiding light might give them somewhat of an entry. Paint has to come through as well. Clears the close position. Smoke in their face as well. Denies a bit of presence. Chihuahua for the opener. That's good for the first. Looking to make it one more if they can. Spam with the smoke won't find too much. And now they can just play from range. Play for timing in their favor. They're alive. Get the freebie from Hardy. Walk straight into the crosshair. And it's easy pickings for them.
See, this is what makes this investment from H2O so dangerous, because 9 times out of 10, you are going to lose round 3 regardless, because the enemy team has a higher buy. Now, because they forced into this, their econ into the next round is going to be rough.
Through 1-for-1 with Chihuahua. Makes a second kill count. Swing it in for Riyad. Drops Foxy. 2 versus 3. They've actually got room to work for now. Pastek still just playing time. Drop onto the side. Guiding light coming in full blind. Riyad will fall. Fake Ananas follows suit as well. And that's the first round on the board for XL. Made slightly expensive with the loss of 2, but all in all, only goes one way. Deficit down to 1.
Yeah. Alright, so this is it. H2O, look at their economy. This should have been a rifle round for them. And because they insisted on forcing into the previous round, this is going to be a pistol. This could very much have been a position for them to turn things around. I say it's going to be a pistol. They forced in the previous. Okay. They're not doing anything crazy here, thank God. They're going to just stick with the pistol here, buy into the next. But, oh my God, Foxy, that's illegal. Oh, sweet Jesus.
Not going to say no to that freebie, is he? Fake Ananas didn't even know what hit him as he falls. Spam coming through as well. Foxy can try and single-handedly just hold things down from here. TP will come through. Avoids the brunt of the damage. It's a double for Pasek alive on his own. Foxy one more. Flawless round there for XL to tie this game back off. Yes, H2O didn't have too much on the cards for them in terms of a buy. Not too shabby of a round either way.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? If it works, I suppose. And now they're able to buy into an operator, which is not where I thought we would find ourselves at the end of that round. I'm going to be perfectly honest with everybody here involved. So, good stuff from XL, at least. Managing to even out the scoreline for themselves. And yeah, Alex going for that slight glass cannon. Not full, because, you know, he does have at least half armor. But it's not perfect. So, again, gonna have to get perfect results. What is this push from XL? Holy... Jeez, okay, dude.
Triple stacked over towards long, and it works as well. And of course, Patek going to find one more. That's brilliant. All down to just two. Fake Ananas and Rhea, there was so much to do. But what do they do in this situation? It's a 2 versus 5, and haven't got the most information to work with. I mean, now they're just going to slow this tempo down. Not even been a minute played, and they're already in a really troublesome spot. Smoke in the face will allow Alive to fall away alive. And just keep the numbers.
I mean, I love this aggression from XL. I love defender-sided aggression. I think that it can work out incredibly well. I mean, they just yeet 3 players down long, get the first pick off of the round, and they go, all right, we out. And then they're able to follow that up incredibly well with the next 2 kills. So H2O, with this being their buy round, I mean, oh, we said this should be an XL win, but XL making it look easy.
Cover going out.
So far, so good. The smoke Gunbarrel spotted. Spam coming through. Fake Ananas needs to be careful. Paranoia in his face. Not exactly what he was wanting either. Mo could just buy some time into his backside. They're double stacked, in fact. So all they have to do is play for the trade. 20 seconds or just over on the clock. And H2O still can't make their way forward. They walk straight in towards Patsek. He's good for 1. Traded out. But Fake Ananas still 4 more bodies to find. And with 14 seconds, I think this one might be done. Full blind. Finds one more. Mo is very unfortunate to walk into the spray. Swinging forward, still trying to tap. But from behind, Foxy will close things out. XL take the lead.
Oh, that was really unfortunate because he turns his back on Foxy's position. Now, of course, you don't know for 100% certain where that last player is. And he kind of checked that angle for like a second. And he's like, all right, maybe not there. Picks up the rifle. And then you got to check the other angle because you've left it unchecked for, you know, a reasonable amount of time when you know you're in a 1 versus 1. And unfortunately, just at that moment, Foxy will take advantage, swing out, and get the final kill. And that's going to be XL at a 3-2. But again, you know, we spoke about how you need to keep things expensive. Now, it's not so expensive that you're able to take away the possibility of the operator coming out. And Alive, of course, immediately going to buy into that as soon as it's available. Had it again with this aggression. It's devastating for H2O because it just cripples them.
Yeah, not exactly the dream start, I think it's probably safe to say. For Alex falling immediately, they have to play the entirety of this round of 4. Trailblazers to come through, we spotted out immediately. Yeah, dropped out by Patsek. Mo looking for one of his own, will find it. Can he make it 2 running out of ammo? It's unfortunate, but unfortunately, he is traded. So,
Help.
it's Hardy in a 1 versus 4. Sheriff in hand, spike down, less than a minute to work with, and he's already being tagged down by the snake bite. I think this one may be done. I don't know. Maybe. I think this might be a 4th on the board for XL.
I mean, yeah, there was a pistol round for H2O. We've seen some pretty nasty ecos in the past, but given how strong XL are looking right now and how aggressive that they're allowed to get away with an unprecedented amount of aggression. I said I like defensive aggression, but you can't let them get away with it that often. Now, of course, we have a timeout coming out. I can only assume that this is H2O's timeout. I cannot fathom that XL would be taking a break here. And
Agreed.
H2O need to kind of regroup a little bit. There you go. They won the first pistol. They won the force. And then things got really wonky. They did some serious detriment to their economy at the start. and they've just really struggled to bounce back and to get themselves back into it. Now, take a breather, take a moment. They're going to buy into this round. They've got a ton of ultimates online. The problem is, with how aggressive XL have been, they have made it difficult to even get an ultimate off. Right? You push forward a little bit, you try and take a little bit of space, maybe you want to pop a Seeker or something, and suddenly XL's in your back line and you're dead.
Yeah.
So they haven't actually had an opportunity. So that's going to be the big question for H2O, is how do they gain that space, watch their 6, and make sure that they're able to use their ultimates, but not just like panic press Q, but actually use it in a meaningful way that gets them value. And hopefully they found the answer to that.
Off the wait and see. 2-round lead, XL hold. It's 4 consecutive that they found as well, which is already starting to build up a pretty decent wealth of momentum.
Let's play.
Tour de force to come out. Alex will be the one wielding it. At the moment, very, very slow. Looking for an opportunity to work with, but for H2O, just playing that clock to their favour, trying to bet out a bit of utility, which so far they won't find too much of. They know the Tour de force is online. But the clock just being whittled down. In comes the Seekers, and of course, a lot of utility burn over towards the side. Won't be able to find Foxy good for first. That's already a decent start trading for the smoke though, but a quick trade coming through from Alex. Tour de force utilized well. Snakebite comes through, but it won't be able to deny that spike going down. Planted at the hands of Hattie. Good guiding light to come through. Good for the first. Looks to make it 2, which he does. Nearly the third as well, as he can't quite connect with the Tour de force. It's a 1 versus 3, Alex. What can he do from this position? Spawning at the first. The box finds it. That's brilliant, but the snakebite will force him off the angle. They might be able to get a bit of a tap on towards the spike. Jump in the corner as well. They know exactly where he's coming from. He's being held at range. Will he find it? Yes, he does. Alex has made it a doable affair. It's Mo. All down to 1 man, and he's expecting the push to come through. Alex is so risky, but it could work, and it doesn't quite. Mo swings in, and he finds the kill right down to the 1 versus 1. But XL, keep this momentum ticking.
That is heartbreaking for Alex. To get 3 kills, to do so much to make that post plant possible, and to have it ripped away at the very last second. What a tough spot to be in, and to have done so well. The other thing that I wanted to just point out is, I mentioned how Chihuahua, you're very likely going to see him not on that Cypher. Well, here he's playing the Viper, and it's working really well. He's doing a lot to just keep shutting down those sight lines, keep enabling the team, and again, kind of playing a more anchor-heavy position. And it's very similar to how he plays the Cypher as well. So that's why this works really well for... I love this! This is such a good Viper's pick. You go through the TP, you shut down mid completely, and now H2O, any designs they had on taking that mid position are basically shut down. And it looked like that's what they were going for. They were going for a B split push, and now they have to rethink their entire strategy.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, now they cannot go towards mid. There's no 2 ways about it. They have to try and find a way forward. They either force their way in towards mid just by trying to aggro the Viper, or they, as you mentioned, think of another idea. Over towards long. Operator's not going to find too much for the time being. Riyadh is sort of tempted, but he doesn't want to risk it, which is absolutely fair enough. 50 seconds to work with, and I mean, I think H2O are slightly stunned now as they default back towards long. Good first row alive. Easy one at that as well, as he now can reposition to look for one more, and he might be giving it as well. Re-peeking in. Won't spot anything initially. Missed shot as well. And now he has to buy a little bit of time for that rotation to come through, and in comes Foxy. He's TP'd his way over. Paranoia could come through as well. Could cause a couple of issues, but the spike will go down. Planted in the hands of Jaff. There's the Paranoia we've spoken about, as Rhea trying to go aggressive. Double down with Jaff, in fact. Looking for something. Missed shots from Foxy. Gets punished, and hang on a second. We've got a game. 4 versus 4. Alive, looking to try and find one more. Operator in hand as he sneaks his way forward, and he could catch a bit of timing, but it's hardly good for 1. Missed shot from Alive. Riyadh will punish. It's down to just 2. That a Mo, that a Patatech to deliver. Guiding light gives him some space to work with, but this is now starting to crumble from right in front of them.
Still doable. 2 versus 3 here for XL in a good spot. Oh, but it's just not going to be enough. What fantastic cleanup from H2O. I love this round. So it starts with the Viper's Pit in mid, and I'm like, oh man, what do H2O do now? And they take a second, they regroup, because that Viper's Pit is down, XL aren't pushing out super aggressively, so H2O take advantage of the fact that they've slowed down a little bit, and they push in themselves. They're able to use their util to push what few members of XL are on the B site back. They gain control of the site. They push out into elbow, and once you have elbow control, you basically have site control. They execute that perfectly. This is the H2O that we wanted to see, that we needed to see here today. Great stuff, but can they replicate? Now, there isn't the Viper's Pit in mid to slow things down, to stop Riyadh from gaining that space. And it's a relatively unguarded site, but Chihuahua has moved over onto B from the A side. The Viper's wall is there, which could prove problematic.
Exactly that. Information gained was long. I think a couple of spotted at the very least. And Mo going aggressive. I like this position. He's waiting and holding and expecting that push through the smoke. But as it dissipates, going to be in for a slight world of trouble. Spam to come through. Resmoke coming in as well. Patek spotted in towards short. Won't be tagged down at the very least. Mo playing nice and aggro. And I like this. Guiding light coming out as well. This is all getting very dicey, it's safe to say. On a knife's edge, I think is one way to put it. Is now that Smoke will just force kind of the tour de force by a slightly more passive position. Can't really overextend. Let's be standing. That is not too shabby a position. I mean, this is really going down to the wire, but for H2O, needs to be careful not to let that clock tick down too far.
I was about to say, like, H2O are taking so long to commit to anything. And again, it's down to Chihuahua slowing down the pacing so much with his presence over towards that B side. But now it looks like the execute should come through.
Ooh, in comes the first good for one more as well. It's a quick 2-for-2 trade. Hardy looking to make it another. As Riyadh, in fact, who steps up. In comes a Viper's Nest of their own. And now, of course, that ultimate online, trying to deny the spike going down, won't be able to find it, but the damage dealt with. That's just about it. Alive. Tour de force whip back out as he wants to try and shotgun up. But the question is, can he? Patek good for one. Looking for time 4, but it's Hattie in close. One of his own leaves it just down to one man. Patek with 10 points of HP has to try and deny this. I think they have a good idea of where he's coming from, and now they definitely do. He's giving away the ruse. This will require something special to be able to deny this in a 1 versus 2, and I think H2O are about to find their 4th.
This was another really good round. So we were concerned about how they were kind of running down the clock quite heavily. And I think that the initial kill... So we see a very, very typical play from Riyadh. He boosts himself out of hookah directly in onto the site. And off the back of that, it's actually Jaff. So he's the distraction. And Jaff, who pushes in from long, is able to get that first kill and somehow isn't spotted out. So that starts kind of the domino effect falling for H2O. Then, of course, they drop their own Viper's Pit. They deny a lot of that vision. And, you know, they chill in the Viper's Pit. As soon as somebody walks in, they get mowed down. Patek on 10 HP. Not going to have too much, you know, too many results coming out of that one. And again, Chihuahua going down so early means that all of that so important Viper utility is completely offline. Speaking of, Alive has just put Alex offline, which is not good for H2O.
No, not the dream starts at the very least. I mean, numbers in their favor. Alive has taken quite a significant amount of damage, but remaining alive is all that matters. Pat says, be careful. Riyadh had snuck past in towards U-Haul. It doubles back, and Patek tunnel vision into towards short. Doesn't expect that aggression to come through. Another quarter rotation has come through, but they've already got a fairly decent amount of control over towards A. They can probably attempt to get that spike down. The only question mark is Foxy in towards bathrooms.
With H2O having already lost that first player, it is going to be that much more difficult. They have taken Lamp's control, which is good. They've also put up a nice little Viper's wall for themselves. The question is, can they pivot?
Chihuahua tries to attempt to go through that smoke, doesn't find it. Alive will fall, but he was low on HP. Riyadh in behind with the matter. Jaff wall drop Foxy. We spoke about that flank being the potential for something. Doesn't find it. Tapping towards U-Haul. 2 players to look at, and it leaves it all down to Mo. XL are starting to struggle now on the defender side here. On bind, you mentioned it was a slight weakness in their repertoire, and it's looking very much so now. Smoke down. Mo guarding light in his face. He will avoid the brunt of it. Been a 1 versus 4. He might even just try and play for exits here. The save is looking relatively unlikely as he's so far forward on towards the side, but he might get a freebie here. Guiding lights come through again. Yeah, will drop the first. Hattie will fall. But even still, this retake looking very unlikely. Blast pack will catch him. Riyadh will make it a 3K for him as H2O tie this game back up 5 rounds apiece.
Can we just take a second? H2O, I'm really impressed with this turnaround. They take a nice little timeout for themselves a few rounds back, and they've managed to turn the tide in their favor. They've changed up their approach to a lot of these rounds. They're not allowing XL to take as much space as they were previously. And in the same vein, XL aren't being as hyper-aggressive as they were previously. And this is, I suppose, a bit of a double-edged sword for themselves. I mean, this is where they were getting a ton of that value. And now that they're not doing it, of course, they realize that H2O are a little bit more poised to punish that. And so they have to play a more passive game.
Yeah.
And they're struggling to maintain footing now that they've had to change their pace. So this is a really good time for them to take this time out. You know, the one that they're taking right now, because they've been forced to change their tempo. Now they have to consider, all right, so this is the change that H2O have made. This is how we have been forced to adapt to it. Now we need to, you know, make an adaptation that isn't forced. We have to make a conscious change and slow down. Maybe not slow down because H2O don't have a terribly fast tempo, but they need to disrupt H2O's tempo massively if they want to get themselves back into the lead. A 3-round streak for H2O means that XL's economy is quite broken right now. They're forcing into this, and unfortunately that means that it's a Bulldog and a Spectre on the table here alongside, you know, the operator and 2 rifles. But it's not perfect. They need to somehow make this perfect if they want to get their streak back on.
Showstopper online, Patek trying to find something. Running out of time on that fuse as well, and he might have to pop it off for free. That's unfortunate. Damage not going to be able to find Haldi as well. He's just tucked in towards that corner. And a wasted Showstopper as well is very unfortunate. The idea was nice, but the execution wasn't quite there. Now, of course, with XL on a man disadvantage, how do they play round number 11? It's a 4 versus 5, but they're going aggressive. I like this. They're trying to actively bring the numbers back in their favor, and Hadi could be in for a dicey affair. He's sitting close and personal. Patek might get a bit of timing. Overextends, Riyadh, comfortable for one of his own. Showstopper swinging in. Easy kill for him. It's a 1-for-1, but he'll take it all the same right to the bank. 2 versus 4. XL left down to just Chihuahua and alive to try and salvage something. Try and keep this game even, and of course, find a lead, but it's looking unlikely now.
Yeah, I mean, we knew that they came into this with a rough buy, and I liked that they were trying to go back into the more aggressive style. We saw that with Patek taking some serious mid-control and trying to kind of leverage off that with the Showstopper. But H2O are able to slow him down with the snake bite. They're able to pull back, and there's 0 value from the Showstopper. Plus, Patek is out of position.
Right here.
And they leverage off of that pretty damn perfectly. Now Spike's going to go down, and of course this is going to be a save from XL because again, their economy is completely in shambles. They are going to be able to hold on to the operator. That's great. Chihuahua, unfortunately, only has, you know, an SMG. We can actually see him on the hunt here, looking to see if he can maybe get an exit frag or maybe pick up a rifle for himself to take into the next round. Rifle, I think, would be like first prize. And as we can see, you know, H2O aren't trying terribly to stop this, right? To try and hunt the players down, because they realize that they don't really want to take too much damage to their own economy. They want to keep as many guns as possible into the next round. So there you go. That's Chihuahua managing to pick up a rifle for himself. That'll be them taking it into the next. And H2O giving themselves a lead again for the second time in the series. Of course, they did win the pistols, and then XL had a bit of a runaway lead, and now they find themselves back in the top spot. And coming into this next round, so they still have Seekers online. They're not going to have the orbital strike just yet, because obviously Jack didn't die, and he wasn't able to get like a little bit of a cheeky exit frag there. And of course, the Showstopper was used to like 0 effect. But there is a bit of firepower. Maybe not firepower, but there's a bit of util available in the Seekers, and I think that can really make a huge difference here. Get some really early information and hopefully be able to pivot off that. Meanwhile, XL still on a bit of a broken force here. Okay, Patek, what's the play? All right, so we were looking at an SMG. Instead, we're going for a Guardian again. It's a pretty big force. They don't want to give up too much firepower unnecessarily. And they've got Seekers of their own, so there is a little bit of bite back. Oh, no, Alex! What? Able to win out the duel unalive, expecting the aggression to come through and just shutting it down.
I think XL is starting to get slightly concerned or slightly nervous, because They're overextending and it's becoming not the easiest situation at all. Alex gonna find Foxy, already everything playing into their hands. Pasek close and personal with Guardian. What can he find? Looking for something. Spam through the box. Doesn't matter. Jaff and Fake that's one apiece. And Chihuahua nowhere to be seen. All the way over towards B as he's been that regular anchor. And it's a long road to rotate all the way back in. H2O more or less moments away from making this a 7-5 half, and going into the second half with actually a really good position for them to be in. Got a out come through. Jaff will close things out quite nicely. H2O go into a second half. Their defender side with a 7-5 lead. I've got to say, Sam, I'm really impressed.
I mean, honestly, I think that beating Alliance has done wonders for their mental, I suppose. It's really kind of bolstered them quite nicely, and it's given them a huge, I don't know, I think that they're just kind of coming into their own, which is really great to see, and it's what we wanted to see. It's a pretty good half for H2O, but now the question is, can they replicate that on defense? Now XL have an opportunity to mount their own attack, and I think that, you know, they have a really good composition for it. I think you know, the Omen can do a lot here to create some of that space. Those paranoias, we saw it in the previous series. If paranoias continue to be on point like they were in that previous series, then I think that Foxy could be a huge key here in keeping space.
Shotgun, close, not going to find anything. Fake Araras, though, decent double opener. The shorty tried to deliver, it doesn't matter, but it's the ghost that comes out on top. I mean, Fox taking some significant damage too. It's not exactly the kind of position for them to be in, but Mo has slightly made his way in towards the back lines. They're aware though. H2O know there's a possibility that he's stuck in towards elbow, and all they have to do is hold and wait. Numbers heavily in favor of H2O. Play the trade game. They've won around, and of course up to 8 is a brilliant position for them to be in. And you can see Alex with that shorty. He wants to cause some damage with it. Wall in the face as it comes down. Alex. Shorty to good use, finds one more as well with a headhunter, and it leaves just down to one man. Chihuahua, 1 versus 4. XL still yet to wake up in this series, and they are really starting to feel the pressure as H2O look definitive. With 35 seconds left to work with, he might get a consolation kill. Full blind, Fagan is very fortunate to stay alive. Drop it down on towards sight as of just yet, just into the side of that wall, swinging in. Will he be able to find anything? Answer is no. Jaff will clean things up. H2O with 4 remaining alive, up to 8.
But unfortunate. It's rough. You like peek out and there's 4 people staring at you and you have to pick someone to shoot at. It's that was the first time that XL were forced down onto an actual pistol. And because of how broken the economy has been after 2 rounds of forcing in, they're still not able to buy up much yet. Maybe an upgraded pistol to some degree. Obviously, we see Aditech buying into the shorty there. But no, I was hoping for maybe a couple of sheriffs, but instead going to hold on to what little cash they do have. And H2O, of course, going to be forcing up here because, well, they have every right to. They won the pistol.
Ooh, Alex, close and personal. Chihuahua will fall. A judge at that range is the worst greeting into round number 14, to say the least. It is, of course, just the pistols for XL, but they are facing some serious problems. In round number 14, not so much they've got invested into it. They're trying to play the long game here, but chances are dwindling for XL. They're leaving this a little bit late in behind. A double spray down for Riyadh. It's down to 1 man. Mo 40, a classic in hand, and of course, probably very little to support. Guardian Light will come out. We'll try and pick up that judge, but Riyadh come through, makes it a quad kill for him. Easy eco frags. H2O up to 9. Sam, this is not the result I was expecting at all.
Not even a little bit. You know, those, not the first rounds, but like after round 2, right? And then like the string of rounds that XL puts together, and I'm like, yeah, this is kind of what I was expecting, and I'm like starting to get a little disheartened. I'm like, you know, after such a great first series, is this really how we close out the day? But H2O keeping it not close. I mean, they are looking so good. They're so in control. Now, they have bought into a rifle here. You know, we are going to have that extra little bit of firepower. The judge, of course, still in the hands. XL, this is their rifle round. This is the time where they need to turn things back around to make that happen.
Alrighty. Bit of information gained in towards who. I mean, Alex sitting at this sort of position with a judge is Again, not something that you really want to push your way into. Very slow manner and tempo by XL here. We've seen them struggle once before. They're not looking too brilliant at the moment, especially on their attacking side. They need to start to find a bit of momentum. They're so momentum heavy. That's where they find all their success. They need to break this cycle of H2O consistently just putting rounds on the board, round and round again. 2 hours going to fall. Riyadh, not a bad start. Already looking a little bit uncomfortable. Paint cans to come through could cause some problems. So does the paranoia, but just about falling away. He's very fortunate there, Alex. Mo at least finding Jaff is something to take away from a silver lining, but this is still a bad situation. Snakebite to come out as well. Fake Ananas, close and personal for guarding light, can just keep them from ticking through that hookah, and one more to his tally as well. Pretty good. Can he find one more? Not the answer. Alive will trade things out. 2 versus 3. Alex low on HP as well gives them a possibility, but he's sitting close on the site. But look at this seagull. No way. Gonna be able to find a freebie. Alive in behind. Alex didn't expect it. Setting up the TPs as well. Could be enough. Foxy trying to get that spike down, but doesn't expect Hattie in close. It's all down to one man. As you mentioned, no time. He has to prioritize. Has to prioritize the kill. And will he find it? No. Ria just about passes. Just about keeps us alive. H2 up to 10. And they're getting close to the Orioles of 13 now.
There were so many thoughts going through my mind that entire round. It starts off with, is this really happening? As H2O find themselves in a leading position. And then it gets to, how do XL clutch this? How does Alive make this happen? So he's able to pick up the spike. We're down to about like 4 seconds left. And I'm like, there's no way he has time. And then I'm like, okay, there's a little bit of time here, but do they allow him to get that plant? And then for some reason, Riyadh pushes. And I'm like, no, because if you die here, you lose the round. And Riyadh actually wins that 1v1. I mean, it was the most chaotic round we've seen so far in this particular map. And somehow, again, H2O come out on top. Double digits, XL down, back onto pistols. And honestly, they just look so lost. Ever since like round 8, they haven't known how to deal with H2O. Now on the pistol round, they just kind of run into the guns because they realize that there's no way they come out on top of this one. That's going to be 11-5. Okay, Alive trying to keep it expensive at least. Okay,
potentially, you know, cause a little bit of economic damage also with H2O, and there's a lifeline extended. As we stand, I mean, this is not exactly the nicest of positions for XL to be in. It's a 2 versus 4 with H2O getting dangerously close to 13 already. And realistically, probably should be 11 in a matter of moments. All they have to do is play with the numbers. They're going to double back this time. Jaff as well knows all too aware that it could walk into him. Spike dropped. Tried to deny that presence. Molotov as well in the face. Missed shot with the order. 4's alive though. Brings out the Vandal. Just about finds the kill with 17 points of HP. But less than 20 seconds on the clock. And even getting to a site seems like a big ask here. Going to try and get it down with his 2 plays in towards U-Haul. They'll probably deny that. And Riyadh are going to not even allow him to attempt a tap and run. 11-5. Wealth of a lead built up by H2O. What a series we're looking in for here. This could be a 3-mapper.
XL need a miracle at this point. I mean, I say that. We did just watch a game go from a 10-2 to a 14-12 in favor of the team who were 10-2 down. But I still feel like XL are going to need a miracle. I mean, how many rounds in a row is this? 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 consecutive rounds for H2O. And they are just looking absolutely unstoppable. And it's not just a side thing, you know? It's not like they just look good on one particular side. They're looking incredibly good on both.
Oh, Mo, nice entry. That's the aggressive start they were looking for. Alive potentially could be in for one of his own. The trade potential is there with Jaff and Fake that's in close. Guarding light to come through. We'll find him and actually just going to fall away. Smart way to play it as well. Doesn't need to be too aggressive there. Numbers still favour XL. Seeker's coming through as well. We'll give away the ruse of where Patek is in towards Hookah and then Hana all too well. And they might even go aggressive here. I mean, Patek needs to be cautious. They're just playing that doubles like they're playing for the trades, and it could work in their favour. Mo coming with support as well. Guarding light in the face. Spam coming through. Smoke in his face by That's very low on HP and now down to 0. Patek just about surviving with 21 points, but it's a 5 versus 3. Hang on a second now. 5 versus 3. H2O. What was a wealth of the start? Could catch a flank here. Off guard, laboured spray, but doesn't matter. Chihuahua comes out on top. Hardy and Jaff left all alone in a 2 versus 5, and I think for the first time in a long time, we're going to see XL put a round on the board unless Hardy can do something special in towards short. Go for the first. Spike drops. Look to make it 2. Find it. And a second. Ooh, alive just about. Keeping the dream alive for them in round number 17, but that went down to the wire.
Alive has been such a key player for this team. I mean, okay, yes, we've had some, like, serious pop-off moments from most of the other players, and he's not really, like, topping the scoreboard, but in terms of impact and clutch potential and, you know, staying alive, he's been so good at just trying to keep XL in it. And I think that's such an important quality to have in a player. Not necessarily the top fragger, but showing up when it counts. Now, of course, we're going to have Alex popping the Twitter Force. If they can manage to clutch out this round, and they do have a little bit of an advantage into this one, then that puts them on match point. We have to bear in mind XL still have Seekers available, plus Foxy is able to use that TP if necessary. And XL playing, or H2O rather, playing this very, very carefully. They know how important this round is to them. They want to get a second win on the board. And honestly, I'm a believer. I think that it's possible. Even against the Titan of XL in, you know, what they've been in this season, I think that this is doable.
6-11. It's not the end of the world, but it still requires quite a lot to sort of turn things back on their head for XL. They're in a really dire strait here. Swinging in Chihuahua, though, not going to be able to find the first rear close and personal. It's a standard angle, but it's just not the crisp XL that we're used to. In goes the utility. Seekers coming out, so guiding light, trying to find that entry going forward. Bad second mo, one apiece. Jaff only good for 1. That's how the numbers switch hands. Spam coming through the wall, won't quite find its target. Close and personal. In towards elbow, trying to deny a bit of presence. Fake ananas, and Alex needs a double back in time. And it might even be a save call. No, probably. Well, I mean, actually hasn't even got anything to say, to be perfectly honest. He may as well give this a go. He's already popped the Tour de Force, so try and make something expensive if he can, but this is going to be a tough 1 versus 3. The post plant set up for XL, they're playing so passive in their nature, and they can do.
I mean, he could possibly find a weapon for himself, but as you say, at this point, you try and go for it. Now, he knows Alive's position. He's not going to be pushing out long. Does he know Patatek is there? Oh, a couple of sound cues, giving away a lot of information, looking to try and bait someone out, but the guiding light comes through, and it just, oh, he's in such a rough spot yet. Cannot even get the kill onto Alive, and that's H2O trying their best, but conceding yet another round to XL. I said XL needed a miracle. Apparently they didn't need a miracle. They just needed to kind of pull up their bootstraps. Yeah. They're looking much better now. They're reading into H2O's defense a lot better. And I mean, I always talk about how round 5 is the momentum shifting round. And there you go. H2O win the first 4 rounds, and then XL kind of hit the brakes a little bit, start bringing it back in their favor. Now we certainly have a game on our hands as H2O are back down onto a very wonky quote-unquote bye. You've got the Bulldog and the Marshall there to try and make something happen with XL firmly in control again.
You got the Showstopper as well, flooding the way forward. Batsec needs to release. Can't really find a target to do so, though. Doubling back towards Heaven. Could get a freebie. No. Unfortunate for him. Boombody to come forward. What can he find? Well, first Alex. Information as well towards Fake Ananas. That gives away his ruse. Swinging in. Damage dealt. The Dink as well. He dropped low. Close and personal. Jack will fall. Swinging in. Just trying to cause a little bit of a ruse. And he might be able to find it. Just about bunny hopped his way away. But of course, he knows exactly where he's coming from. Riyadh will find one of his own. Maybe a second. But no, Foxy makes it down to just that one man. No man that they tagged down to 5 points of HP earlier. With a Bulldog in hand, I think it's safe to say it's only going one way. 8 rounds for XL. Deficit down to 3. And at one point it was looking dire, but Sam, it's starting to become a little bit more conclusive now.
Yeah, I think that they needed... So, we talk about the snowball potential of the pistol. And they needed to kind of get over that bump in the road of H2O winning the pistol, getting the force, winning the bonus, and then winning the 4th round as well. And XL struggled a little bit, lost their footing. Round 5, momentum shift. It comes into play. Now we have another timeout coming through. as both of these two teams find themselves in a very, very rough spot. It is XL's timeout, and one can see why. Yes, they have won a couple of rounds in a row, and you start to think, well, why would you need a timeout? Whatever you're doing is working. But they also realize that H2O are going to be on a full buy, and if H2O win this round, they're on match point. So they cannot afford to get overconfident, to get cocky in any way. They need to take a breath and make sure that whatever they have planned, they execute perfectly. Now, they're going to be looking at the ult situation as well. We've got 2 Viper's Pits available for use, and realistically, nothing else. There's been a lot of back and forth in the ultimates here, and that doesn't really give a favorable position over to either of these teams, really. I mean, this is very realistically even footing for both, and it's going to come down to who can utilize, if you do so decide to pop it, who is going to leverage it the best. We might just see a Viper's Pit pop out here, maybe in B main. No, okay, so we're not getting an early Viper's Pit. There you go, Guiding Light, nobody's there. And they pop the ult anyway, so they know that there's no one down long, and it's very likely that it could be a hookah push, and that's exactly what it is, and Fake Bananas gets traded.
Okay, Mo's still keeping them in this. The snake bait to come out as well. Hadi sitting inside that Viper's Pit. All about timing. I mean, for XL, what's the decision? They know they're going to struggle to get out towards B. I mean, that one man can play anchor, really. It's so comfortable for Hadi just to lock things down in the Viper's Pit. It forced them over towards that triple stack site, kind of. I want to say sort of, kind of, because Jaff is actually rotating away. The Trailblazer coming through. That might tend to rotate back, and in fact, it will. Jumping through. That's information gain. Guiding Light coming out as well. Alex needs to be careful. He just about makes the cross. Trying to go for a peek. Will he find it? Yes, he will. Staying alive is all that matters. Shot through the box. Not going to find his target. At the very least now, Viper's Pit in return. Shot through the box. Again, not quite finding the mark. And he will opt for the Vandal this time. Trying to cause a problem. Orbital strike online. Hang on a second. Chihuahua will fall. He couldn't have made his way away. Numbers back in favor of H2O as they gun him for 12. And this might be the perfect time. There's 20 seconds, Sam.
There's time to plant, but there's nothing really to defend yourself with. You have to be so careful at every single moment. Jeff's in a good position here, but can he leverage it?
Oh, no.
Oh, alive. That's such a big kill. But no one's checking showers.
They know where he's coming from, but what does he do here? Oh, but going through! Brilliant shot from alive. That's stunning. So quick on the trigger, but of course it's still down to Hadi. A long rotate for him as he's coming from short, and alive seems to be know all too well. He'll fall back over towards bathrooms. Now the roof's given away. It's like gap in the smoke, and it doesn't matter. Alive. What a clutch from him. That is stellar. Stunning. Sumptuous for XL to find 9.
And again, alive. He's the guy. He keeps things rolling for XL. When the chips are down, when they find themselves in a tough situation, he's the one that comes up huge. And so this was great from XL, right? So they get that trade and immediately they pull back. They move over towards the A site. They drop a Viper's Pit of their own. But that orbital strike was so important because unfortunately Chihuahua's not able to get out of it. That drops the Viper's Pit entirely. Sightlines are perfectly available for H2O, but it doesn't matter because Alive's positioning, God, he has been so good for this team. But H2O back down onto a pistol, able to at least get a nice little trade for themselves here. I'm not counting them out just yet. They've had a really good showing so far and unable to pick up that rifle, which is really unfortunate. That would have been quite nice. We'll see if they can do that a little bit later on. Of course, it would be dangerous to push out.
Oh, no. Oh, Alex.
Oh, that's even worse.
That's brutal. I thought for a second he might try and play trigger this minute, but the fact that he jiggles and doesn't take the shot actually cost him his life. Alex falling, and not just it cost him his life, it cost him the numbers. It's a 4 versus 3 in favor of XL. They've already got the firepower to work with. They're knocking on the door of double digits themselves and making this a one-round affair. Already now, though. For Yaf, Hadi, Fake Ananas, what do they do here? Seeker's coming out. They're trying to clear out their sides, but they'll find out momentarily there's no one here to meet them.
Just a free and clear empty site. Of course, it's a little bit of a gamble stack here for H2O as they regroup over towards the teleporter. Oh, and they've just put themselves in a firing range. They get absolutely mowed down. Yaf's footsteps giving away the game so quickly. It's just Fake Ananas. The Unreal Pineapple. to try and make something happen here. Bit of a rough spot to be in.
All right. Bird's having a bit of a seizure there, but I think it's safe to say he's still going to be XL, finding that 10th, despite the bird flapping into the ground. And yeah, there it is. Of course, double digits on the board now for XL. Deficit down to 1. And this is what I was saying about XL being such a momentum-heavy side. This is the momentum in their favour. That's 5 on the trot now, and H2O don't even know how to respond.
Derpy Burb, best Burb.
Exactly.
I love Derpy Burb. Yeah, XL. Wow, what a comeback. H2O. I find it really funny how literally the round that I start saying, oh well, they just look totally lost. The next round, they just go ahead and string 5 rounds together. I mean, sure, why not? You know, prove me wrong. You love to see it. And H2O seem to be the ones who have lost their footing a little bit. Yeah, let's see if I cast the coast that one as well. Nice little position here from Alex. Oh, this could be a free open kill. Yes, it is. Nice start to the round.
That's lightning quick. Lightning quick. No even attempt for a trade to come through there. H2O, jump peeking, alive, going to be able to find the response. Alex, night is back to a 4 versus 4. Jaffel's sitting close and personal, a guiding light here, a flash in his corner would be enough. Think of the Trailblazer, in fact, just to get a bit of information. Missed shot on the first. H2O falls with the spike. That is brutal. Smoke to come through, a guiding light off the back of it too. That could be the less than nice position for them to be in. The rendezvous dropped, and oh, for alive, what does he do now? Molotov in their face, Seeker's coming out as well. I mean, XL back against the wall with H2O getting close to map point. This is going down to the wire. We could get the full rounds in regulation here.
Spike's here.
It's all down to this. But the spike dropped. I mean, for XL trying to find their way back to it with the numbers not in their favor is going to be very difficult.
30 seconds
H2O
left.
just have to play the crossfire and have to just play the trades.
Yeah, I mean, I think that this is just a save.
I think it is,
XL, yeah, I mean, they start hightailing it over towards the A side. They realize this probably isn't a winnable. He did the thing! Foxy did the thing!
Oh no, he did it. That's stunning.
Oh,
He teleported.
So
That's brilliant. Now look, we are. Hang on a second. Spike to go down momentarily. Nice and open plant as well. Gives them a nice ability to set up a post plant. Guiding light going to be caught on the door. Showstopper stopped by the operator of Alive. Hang on a second as he finds another. That's 3 for the round. Haddy in a 1 versus 3. No way. No way. It's down to the 1 versus 3, and look where we are now. How is this turned on its head? Haddy needs something special. 2 more to find, but Mo and Foxy aren't showing face. This has been stellar, stunning. In a 1 versus 2, that spike so far ticked as well. He has to go here and now. There's no room to dilly-dally. Get on that spike. He's going to try and tap it. Spam won't be tested either. They're sort of understanding they might not be going for it. Mo will deliver. That is brilliant. What a play. And it comes down to one man, Foxy. Genius.
I'm such a fan. I say the Desmo thing because that was the first time, at least I had ever seen it done. Was a couple weeks ago when we were casting the Alliance game and Desmo did that. And he wasn't able to win the round, which was really sad. It was like a 1v2 or a 1v3. It was a rough spot to be in. But Foxy does it. They're on even footing and they completely turn everything around. You were saying all that H2O needed to do was hold the angles. And Foxy is able to flip that over and put XL in a position where all they have to do is watch the angles. And with Alive still alive, they're able to do that. Alex with a bit of detail doesn't manage to get any value, but he gets a ton of information. Could be pivotal.
Yeah, ready. Tries that pop shot in towards mid, won't find a target, swinging in towards short. Patsek and Chihuahua on different sides of the map, find a killer piece. Chihuahua makes it 2. XL got him for 12, and it's looking like they're going to find it. It's 1 man to deny, and the Tour de Force going to find nothing. A flawless round for XL, and what a resurgence this is. We thought the one earlier was good. This one looking just that tad better, as XL now have map points. Timeout as well. Sam, H2O, they're feeling that pressure.
Oh, I'm back. That was
There
weird.
we go.
Hey.
Okay, there we go. Well, H2O calling for a timeout. They're feeling the pressure is where we're at now. Of course, it was just a pistol for them, so not too much to find. But the full distance once again, similar to map 1 of game 1.
Yeah, I mean, this has been... Okay, it's not, pound for pound, right? Previously we had 10-2 and then like a crazy resurgence. This has been a little bit more back and forth, so to speak, not round for round, But you know, you get a streak and then it's broken, and then that team gets a streak and then it's broken, and then you kind of trade places a little bit. But we're on the cusp of overtime, and this is the perfect time for H2O to be taking this time out, to be giving themselves a moment to rethink. You take a look at what they have coming into this round. They have Orbital Strike. We know how powerful Orbital Strike can be. They used it to really good effect a few rounds back. Hopefully they can kind of replicate that. But XL's players, so they have Twitter Force online, but they're very close to 2 more ultimates and either a kill or possibly some orb control. It would be perfect if they could get those online and pivot off of it. I'm really looking to H2O here, though, to stop that from happening. They're the only ones with the operator on the board. Oh, there you go, Twitter Force. So it is a double operator nonetheless. Let's see if... Oh, wow, that's a really early Orbital Strike. Good grief.
And a really early kill by Alex. Mo's gonna fall. Numbers back in favor of H2O, but time and time again, we've seen them in this position where they have the numbers in their favor and still fail to convert. Viper's pick gonna come online. Chihuahua got a bit of control himself, and he can just continue to keep bathroom control, and of course it gives them a pathway over towards the site if they want it. I mean, it's all about timing and kind of drawing the attention over towards A. There's 3 players here for the defender side, 2 over towards B. No one really testing the waters over towards B, as a spike is still continuing to make its way forward. Getting it down is going to be the big problem, though. That's going to be where we see H2O probably just do the H2O classic of spamming through that smoke to deny that spike going down. That's where things potentially make a change. Guarding light could be the difference maker, but of course with Mo off the cast, he's dead. It's going to make things very difficult, being trying to find an opening peak in their favor. Alive as well, one of his own. Hang on a second, now the story changes. Alive finding one towards shore, spam coming through as well. Pain Canisters coming on the line. It's all down to wire, under 30 seconds, as you've just heard. But they still need to get the spike down. Now they'll be able to. Holding the flank. Addy actually will cause an issue. Spike goes down with just 15 seconds on the clock. They're still struggling to get it down. One man is causing so many problems. Spam this time. Won't be able to find his target. Spike goes down. Postbar sets up Alive, one of his own. A showstopper on board as well. And he finds his target. Hadi and Jaff in a 2 versus 3. How has this turned on his head? I said Excel are so good for a man down. But now it's down to these 2. Hadi and Jaff to keep the dream alive for H2O to find another map under their belts and to kickstart this series in a strong fashion. But XL have other ideas. Tapping the spike. Poison Orb will come out as well. And they've just got a very good post-bar setup. It's down to 1 man. Hadi, unfortunately, I think this might be done. And it is. Alive, a 3K. XL from the brink of death turned things back in their favor. 13-11, we finished things off. What a resurgence. Yes, it wasn't a 10-2 as earlier, but an 8-4 half, and then a really good start as well. From H2O, it looked like XL were done. It looked like this was it. Map number 1, going the way of H2O, and we can start to look forward to the rest of the series and potentially a 3-mapper. Now it's a different story, Sam.
Yeah, I mean, a great resurgence from XL. I think, you know, coming into this, they were definitely the favored team. I mean, all you have to do is take a look at the talent predictions to know that H2O were 100% the underdogs in this one.
Yes,
but they have performed far better than expected. They've exceeded all of our expectations, I think. And I'm really hoping that we see something really strong on map 2. But the issue is, this was, of course, H2O's map pick. And we were kind of hoping that they would have a really strong performance. And to be fair, they kept it really close, but it wasn't enough. Now, as we head over onto XL's map pick, this hasn't been a tale of 2 halves like we saw previously, where both of these two teams kind of excel, excuse the pun, at one particular side, but they, you know, have decent grasp of both sides, which is obviously the preferred way of being, you know, tackling a map. And so as we move on to what is XL's map pick, it's not going to be a huge detriment to them that H2O will be able to start on the defensive side, because we know that XL do have a strong attacking side. They've just proven it right now, you know, in full color HD, 4K, whatever your resolution is. They've performed incredibly well. And honestly, it's now that I start to show a little bit of concern for H2O.
Yeah, we take a look at the scoreboard as well. As I mentioned, similar to how the scoreline was closer for 13-11, so was the MVPs. Alive, 277 ACS, 24 kills, 2.0 KD. Over to the other side, 23 kills for Rhea, 276 ACS, but only a 1.2 KDA. A very good performance from both of them, respectively. But of course, is Excel, who just at the finish line pip a victory on Bind, and of course now move on towards Split with a real nice advantage under their belt. And we already know, as you've mentioned before, Sam, how good Excel can be on Split.
Yeah, I mean, this is what's really scary and why I was worried about the fact that this was kind of let through by H2O, because as of the last 3 months, XL have a 100% win rate over 7 plays. These aren't like massively skewed results. They have played this map 7 times and have won it 7 times. It's going to take something really big here from H2O to pull it back. Now, I know I said that about H2O at a point on the previous map as well. I was like, oh, it's going to take a miracle. And I mean, they just made it happen. They just, pulled themselves towards themselves and managed to secure enough rounds to make it a win. Now H2O are forced with an unbelievable task. They have to perform incredibly well on their opponent's map pick. Now, again, they get to start on the defensive side, and that's already fairly favored, but of course it's the defensive side on Split. So if they can't create a big buffer for themselves in the first half, I have concerns.
Exactly that. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to throw this one to a break. When we are back, XL's pick of Split is up next. It's do or die for H2O to deny a 2-0 series XL. We'll see you after the break.
I play it, but I don't main it.
Sage.
Yeah.
That was a bit delayed. I don't know if you knew that one.
Delayed?
Yeah, it was a bit delayed.
Come on, all of these are easy.
I have no clue.
I actually have no clue.
Breach.
Viper.
I have no clue on this one.
It's a total guess. Breach as well. You're lying. You didn't say breach. I said breach. What? There's no way all said breach.
I heard one say Viper as well.
I said Viper. That was.
Okay. But I heard 3 say breach or something like that.
I said breach.
No, you didn't. You didn't. You said Viper. I said Killjoy.
Breach.
Sky. It's breach, isn't it? Yeah, it is.
I think it's like his arm, his elbow.
Yeah.
I said breach.
Sky.
Sky.
It's Killjoy.
I've never played. I don't know.
Oh, I see it. I see it. That is, a game.
I kind of see it now. Come on, all of these are easy.
I'm lost.
Who has a pocket?
Wait. I think I know this.
Oh, I know as well.
Brimstone.
Yeah.
No, I said Race.
What? You said race? Yeah, it's definitely Brimstone.
I don't see that on Brim. Okay.
Okay.
You know this?
I don't. I'm ready. I'm ready too. Oh my god, it's the rope snowman.
Oh man.
Yeah, I didn't know I was that area.
Okay, I got it wrong.
Oh. This isn't real. I was just saying, it's in one of the spawns, so we can guarantee one of us get it right. I'll go defend it and you go attack it. It has to be, because on the edge of the map, there's like the shards. I'm saying it's one of those. One of us can win.
Cheating, okay.
Okay, I'll go defender. You can go attacker. You've just zoomed in on ice cream. That is...
Ah, okay.
I was pretty close though.